Amber Rae. I remember that she was super feisty in my belly. Of all my pregnancies, she was kind of the craziest.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a place where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter.
And I'm Lee. We are grateful you joined us today. Please note that this is a story of loss and has triggers.
Thanks to our lost parents who are willing to be vulnerable and share their children with us.
If you're listening to this podcast, just know that on our YouTube channel there are pictures and videos that are related to the stories that are being shared.
Subscribe and share it with a friend that might need it, and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us. Bree, thank you so much for coming on today. We're so excited to have you back on to talk about your Amber today. And I am so sad that you're here again. I know that sounds terrible, but I'm really pretty sad about this, that you're here. But I'm glad that you're here as well. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I would like to really quickly just kind of back up. We had Bree and her husband, Jeff, as our very, very first folks that we interviewed on this podcast and on our YouTube channel. And we are so grateful that they're here again, unfortunately for sad reasons. And so they lost their son, little Jeff, or Jeff Jr., Jeffrey Jr. Yep. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so back in 2018, I found out I was pregnant with my second. And we were super excited, no thoughts of anything, And I went in for my 20-week ultrasound and found out that there was something wrong. And it ended up being that he had bilateral renal agenesis, which is where he did not develop his kidneys. And that in itself is not like the reason for the baby to pass. It's the fact that no amniotic fluid will then be made and the lungs won't develop and they will not be able to live. So we were devastated at that appointment and we decided to carry. We had him in January of 2019 and he lived for 6 hours.
Yeah, and you guys induced at a certain time because you had done some research.
Right, yeah. We had talked to other families on Facebook just to see when they gave birth, how long their babies lived, because we wanted him to have the most time with us as possible, if there was even a way to kind of figure that out. So, yeah, I was induced at 36 weeks to have him, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember... So this was the thing that was devastating to me. Bree and Jeff approached us, me and Lee, and asked us, what do we do to plan for a funeral? And we're like, "What? This is horrible. This is horrible." And it was horrible.
Yeah.
And to kind of have that, basically you were grieving at the same time as you were celebrating this baby's life. It was just...
Right. Yeah, because I had the time to plan. I had since the 20-week, to birth. Unlike some people, when you find out, stillbirth, like you, you don't have that time to kind of talk to people and what do I do for those weeks I was pregnant to then plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Jeff was born and he lived for 6 hours. Mm-hmm. And so from there, what happened? What was kind of going through your mind about your family? Because you have another daughter.
Yes. So we have a 5-year-old. She just turned 5 and she's our oldest. And then we had our son, little Jeff. And after him, even during our pregnancy, they told us this is a fluke. It's very rare. It's not going to happen again, basically. And if it did, there was a 3% chance that it would happen again. So we're thinking, okay, our odds of it happening again are super low.
So they are telling you that there is a very little chance that this is going to happen again. So it didn't raise any questions about should I do genetic testing or anything of that nature?
Right. Okay. Yes. So they had brought it up. And because my doctor was it's usually a fluke thing. It's not usually a genetic thing. We were well, I don't really want to spend the money to do genetic testing if that's usually not what it is. Mm-hmm. We didn't feel let's do genetic testing. So we didn't do genetic testing with little Jeff.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it can be genetic, but it is likely not.
Likely not.
Okay.
Yes.
More likely that it was just a genetic anomaly.
Yeah. We didn't feel like they were yes, do genetic testing. We felt that they were like, this is just a fluke. I don't think you need to worry about it. And so we just didn't worry about it. So we didn't do the genetic testing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And genetic testing can be quite expensive. So I get that. I mean, yeah. And a lot of times insurance doesn't cover all of it, or even sometimes part of it doesn't even. It can be quite spendy. So, okay. So then kind of walk us through what you guys decided to do then.
So then, we decided, okay, we waited a year from after I had little Jeff to start trying. So started trying and I got pregnant pretty quickly. It was the beginning of 2020.
Right.
It was kind of during the pandemic stuff going down. So it was kind of a crazy time in itself. So when I found out I was pregnant, beginning of the year-ish, I think it was like springtime, I was excited, but for some reason, I still had that little piece in me that was like, don't get too excited. Like just from what we had been through. So like we were excited, but I couldn't fully get to being super excited about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, just, ignore those feelings. Like, it's fine. They told you, like, the percentage is small. So I kind of pushed it out of my mind. And our doctor, when I first found out I was pregnant, he's like, okay, like, because you've had this happen in the past, let's bring you in early at 16 weeks just so we can look for the kidneys and make sure like that they're there and everything is good.
Okay.
Also this was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So my first appointment, Jeff was not allowed to come in with me. So I had to go alone, which I didn't love.
No.
It's just like, it's really sad to not have him with me.
Yeah, especially there's so much trauma when it comes to losing a baby and and not having your partner there. Like that is the thing that has come up over and over again is that during the pandemic, so many of these women were alone when they found out or, and it was just horrible. So
horrible.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So the first appointment, I mean, I tried FaceTiming Jeff to like just have him kind of there.
Yeah.
But the service in the hospital was just awful and it just didn't work. But the appointment went great. The baby looked healthy, had a strong heartbeat. So I was like, awesome, this is great. So, went with that. I'm like, okay, everything's looking good at this point.
Do you remember kind of around what week that was?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember.
Obviously maybe in the first trimester, right?
I'm trying to think when you go in.
Yeah, it's probably around I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was like
8 to 12 or something. I feel like it's between 8 to 12. I want to say I
went in at 9 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looking good at that time.
Everything looked good. And my due date was December 11th.
Okay.
Was my due date that she gave me with the measurements and everything. So, yeah. So that looked great. And I had, I think, one other appointment just to check in before my 16th week appointment. And so I went to that one alone as well. And then I had expressed to my doctor, like, I really don't want to do this 16-week appointment without Jeff. Like, is there any way, like, he can come to this appointment? Is there any way? And he's like, no, not at this hospital. They won't allow it. But he worked at a different hospital also. And he said, I want you guys to come to this other hospital. And I am going to just bring you around the back. It's not going to be an appointment. And I'm just going to do it for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we scheduled it. And he said, okay, come to this hospital and I'll bring you in. I was so happy that at this 16-week appointment, I could have Jeff with me. So we went in there and I was nervous, obviously. And Jeff was nervous. But I was also excited because we were like, we're going to find out the gender.
Yeah.
And we're going to be like, yay, there's kidneys there and find out all this stuff. So he started the ultrasound and I instantly could see that the fluid around the baby was low, but there was fluid. So in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's fluid. Like that's a good sign. I could tell it was a little bit low, but I was more holding on to the fact that there was fluid in general. Like,
Right. Now, Bree, when you say that you could tell on the ultrasound, and I'm going to be the first to admit, when I look at an ultrasound, I was like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
Because there's like black and white, and that's basically all there is.
Right.
When there is fluid around the baby, what does that look like?
So when there's fluid around the baby, there's like basically a big black line surrounding where the baby is in the white color. So the more black you see, the more fluid there is around the baby. So I could see that there was like the black around the baby, but it seemed low in my mind, but I didn't want to be like, oh my gosh, and freak out at that moment because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so my first question to him was, oh, there's fluid around the baby. And he said, yes, it is low. And so he kind of went through some things like it's possible you're dehydrated, or, there's always certain things that could be a reason why fluid would be low.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that there's no kidneys. So I'm like, okay, like trying not to panic.
Yeah.
And he continued the ultrasound, looking for the kidneys, looking for the bladder, looking for anything to do with that. And he was looking for quite a while. And he told us, I'm having a hard time finding them. He's like, I don't know if it's the positioning of the baby, or he's like, and I could tell he was, trying to keep us calm, like not trying to say what was happening exactly, maybe, and just calming us. And he said, you know what? I can see the baby's bladder, which was super exciting to me because sometimes with bilateral renal agenesis, they don't have a bladder.
Oh, okay.
Or kidneys. And so the fact that there was a bladder, I was really excited to hear. And he said, it's empty. There's nothing in the bladder. So he said it could mean like the baby just had relieved themselves. And so there was nothing in there. But I'm not 100% sure. So he said, I'm going to give you a big glass of water and I want you to just pound it basically. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to look and see if, anything changes with fluid and stuff. I don't know. I didn't totally understand, I think.
Yeah.
So while he was gone, Jeff and I were in there and I was just pounding the water and we're just like looking at each other like this can't be like happening again. And we're still hopeful because he hasn't told us like straight out, it's happening again. He has not said that. So we're still, in the hopeful stage.
Yeah.
He comes back in, he takes more looks. He still is having a hard time. He switches the ultrasound over to kind of like a vessel. It's where you can see the blood flow to the organs type thing. And so he turned that on and he looks for a long time. He thinks maybe he sees blood flow to where possibly a kidney could be.
Right.
But he can't say for sure. So we were there for a long time. He's like, I'm not seeing what I want to see. So I'm going to have you come back in like 3 days.
Okay.
So back to the other hospital. And so we basically left not knowing anything.
By this time, though, what were you thinking? What were you and Jeff thinking?
I went right away to the negative. This is happening again. Yeah. In my mind, it's happening again. Jeff was a lot more calm and like, he's telling me like, we don't know yet. Like, just try and stay positive, which I'm so grateful that he was like that because if we were both in panic mode, I think it would have just been a disaster.
Yeah, for 3 days, basically, till you went back in.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole drive home, I'm a mess. And those 3 days, I don't even remember those 3 days. I was hysterical, like sobbing all the time. Like I could not even contain myself how upset I was, like thinking it was happening again. I tried to stay calm and, Jeff, again, trying to stay positive and my parents staying positive. And I had them give me a blessing just because I could not handle anything.
Yeah.
So, and I'm so grateful that they kept that positivity and hope because I was totally just no, this is awful. Everything's bad is happening. That's where I went. So yeah, those 3 days were awful.
Yeah. I can only imagine how terrible it was
And
to wait.
Yeah. I should also mention during that ultrasound, we had asked, can you see the gender? And the first thing he said is, I think it's a girl. So also in my mind, that was super exciting because we were told that it's more likely for this condition to happen in males.
Okay.
So we were like, oh my gosh, so that's even more of like something to hold on to.
Right.
But towards the end of the ultrasound, he's like, I think it actually is a boy.
Oh.
Yeah. And so we were like, he gave us a 60-40% thinking it was a male.
Oh.
So we're thinking, oh, well, if it's a male, it's definitely more possible that it's happening again. In my mind, like I said.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what was going through Jeff's mind, but what he was saying was keeping me a little more calm.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember even with Jeff Jr., they had a difficult time finding out his gender as well because there was
the lack of fluid.
Yeah, so little fluid. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. So then those 3 days, like I said, I don't remember like anything about those days. I just remember crying.
Yeah.
I talked to my doctor and he's like, you know what? I am going to push super hard here and make sure that Jeff can come.
Okay.
He like bent the rules or told them and like explained everything, and they allowed him to come to the ultrasound when there's no way they would have before.
Yeah. It was at the time, that particular hospital is the one that I actually work at. Yeah. And that's the one where they were very strict on the policy just very because strict. We did not know anything about COVID at the time.
Yeah, because it was very new at that point.
And we were trying to keep our spread low in the community. So
yeah. So I was super grateful that he said that they allowed him to come. So we went there. The tech was super sweet that was doing the ultrasound. She said, I know what we're looking for. I know exactly, I've been told what's going on. So I'm going to start from the head and just go down the list, and then we'll get to the kidneys. And so she started the ultrasound, measured head, did all the things. Everything looks great. And then I can see on the screen, it says renal. So I know she's at the point where she's looking for the kidneys and all that sort of stuff. So I can tell she's taking a while. She's not saying anything. She's taking a while. And I finally ask, I say, can you see the kidneys? And she says, I'm having a really hard time. I can't see them. And I instantly like hold my breath. And I'm serious. I did not breathe. I don't think for like a couple minutes. I like almost blacked out because I was just in shock that this was happening again. Like, this is stupid. I'm just being honest. It's so stupid. I'm just so mad. So yeah, I finally took a breath, but I almost passed out. I was just like so in shock. And yeah, Jeff and I looked at him after I finally like caught my breath, and I could see that he was, crying too. And the tech said, I'm going to go talk to the specialist and we'll be back in. And so when she left, we just cried and hugged, just, pissed, basically, like, how is this happening again?
How is this happening again?
And in that ultrasound, I could tell the fluid was even lower.
Really?
Yeah. Like lower than the first ultrasound.
Just from
like
the
3 days ago.
days.
Like, that's how much it had gone down. Like, I could see a significant amount that had gotten lower.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So the specialist came in and, confirmed that there's no kidneys. And they just said how sorry they were that this was happening again. And my doctor came in and he was crying. And so it was like, he felt really bad. Because he had told us, it's such a low chance. And he just felt so bad. He has never seen it happen twice. he's never seen that, so he was just in shock too. You could tell he just felt so bad.
Yeah.
So that was rough. We all just kind of cried and hugged. Even my doctor, we weren't even supposed to like be touching each other during pandemic, but he's like, I need to give you guys a hug. It was really nice. So yeah, just devastating to hear it again.
Yeah. So did your doctor talk about everything again, or what did you guys do?
I mean, we kind of got the same thing as last time, which is, you can induce now, you can induce in a couple weeks, you can carry full term, you can abort. Like he gave us all the options. And in that moment, I didn't know. It kind of felt, it was like deja vu. Just, it's happening again.
Yeah.
And again, my instant thought was, I want to deliver right now. And the reason I think that is I just want the pain and like the mourning to like, I just want it over with, you know? So that's what my initial thought was. But, we went home and thought about it and prayed about it. And we decided to carry the baby full term. Yeah.
It's a big decision.
Yeah.
Now tell me, at that second ultrasound, were they able to confirm if it was a boy or a girl? Or was that kind of still were unable to?
Yeah, still unable to, because we did ask, and because the fluid was even lower, they
so it
had
was more
just even a harder time seeing anything.
Yeah.
So we did decide to have them do a blood test.
Okay.
To tell us what the gender was. And that blood test, I think, tested for all the
main things like trisomy.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Down syndrome, the trisomy. There's a couple other that are in that like grouping.
Mm-hmm.
And so they tested for those. Those were all negative.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we just wanted to know the gender so that we could prepare, because we do have that time to prepare and think about name and just all sorts of different stuff about them. We did that, and I'm not going to say who this is, but the genetic counselor that we used was awful. And she was just not great about the way she presented things to us.
Oh, okay.
So she just sent us in an email, "Yay, you're having a girl." And I literally
Did she not
lost my crap.
Yeah.
Lost it.
Yeah.
Like, I could not believe that it was just like, "Oh, yay, you're having a girl," smiley face. Like,
did you not read my chart?
I don't think you understand. Like, yeah. Anyways, when we did find out it was a girl, I even more like was a mess because
of the whole like genetic predisposition, right?
And we have a girl. She's alive, like,
and healthy.
This should not be a girl, and it shouldn't be a boy. It shouldn't be happening again.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
But the fact that it was a girl, that was really hard for Jeff and I, because we have Murphy and she's so healthy, and I don't know. It hit hard learning that she was a girl.
Yeah. I imagine what your thoughts were kind of along the lines of a future children too, because you're like, the boys aren't safe, the girls aren't safe.
Yeah, exactly. Because we were like, if it's a girl, like, we should be good.
Yeah.
So then, now we're like, okay, there's a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
I guess we're no matter what. So that was really hard to learn,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So did you guys have any like follow-up appointments after the, I'm assuming you had regular appointments.
Right.
Did they check?
Yeah, they did another ultrasound to confirm, verify that the kidneys aren't there.
Thank you. Again.
Yeah, it's just, I love that. But they did see, I could tell she was looking at the lungs of the baby for a while, and I could see this big black dot on the lungs.
Okay.
And she wasn't saying anything. And I said, is that normal? Do you know, like, what is that?
Because it looked weird.
It looked different. I could tell that it was different. And she said, "No, that's not normal. It looks like there's like a mass or something that's developed in her lung."
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And she said a lot of times when they see this, it will end up resolving itself. It kind of just disappears over time.
Okay.
And she basically told me they'll monitor it closely, but because of our situation, it's kind of like, it's not, almost like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it does.
Yeah.
Like if there's something else wrong, like I would like to know,
Uh-huh.
But she said to not really worry about it. So I didn't think too much about it, but it was just another thing in an ultrasound, just something you don't want to hear, more things that are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no really known reason why it was there, but she
Mhm.
did say over time it does usually go away. And I didn't have another ultrasound, so I don't know whether or not it ended up going away or
Oh,
not.
gotcha.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure there. But it was just kind of another weird thing
Yeah. You're
that
like,
happened.
thanks.
Yeah.
Another something.
So moving forward in the pregnancy, we wanted to think of a name
Yeah.
and kind of a color, because with little Jeff, we wanted him to have like a color just to
Mhm.
remember him by, or like a favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
And Murphy had picked blue for him. And so we were talking about names and colors, and I just kept feeling like I really wanted to give her my middle name.
Mm-hmm.
Just because with little Jeff, we gave him
Jeff's name.
name.
Yeah.
And we talked about Bree, and I'm like, that sounds so weird to me. Like I didn't like the name, giving my first name to her, but Amber just felt like so right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked it. And for her middle name, I had a really hard time with her middle name. I did not know what middle name to give her.
Mhm.
And so I wanted it to be special and like related to someone almost.
Oh, okay.
It's actually Murphy's middle name.
Oh, is it
So
really?
they share a middle name.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet.
Rae. Yeah. I don't know. I felt like that was something that Murphy could connect with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like they both have the same middle name.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that would be
That's
really
so
nice
sweet.
for her. Yeah. So I feel like it turned out really well. Amber Rae.
Yeah, and it has good rhythm. Like
Yeah.
Amber Rae. Yeah.
Amber Rae. Yeah. And we talked about like what color do we want, and amber itself, the word amber is like a yellowy color.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's so perfect. So we went with the color yellow. And so anytime I see yellow, I just feel amber. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
You decided that pretty early on then, so that you were referencing,
Right.
this is Amber and Amber's
Yep.
doing this. And
Yep. And well, yeah, in our family, we didn't tell anyone the name yet.
Yeah.
We kind of kept it to ourselves, but Jeff, I, and Murphy talked about it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Yeah. And so then the long haul, just trying to prepare, I guess, mentally and physically, buying things for her birth, bought her a white dress that she would be buried in, which is awful.
Yeah.
I don't recommend anyone go and do that.
Yeah.
It's
awful. It's horrible.
awful. I'm choosing, it's awful because I go into like this cute baby store, all these cute little white dresses, and I'm looking to bury my baby in this. Like other people are looking to bless their baby.
Bless their baby and not.
I'm just like,
these are burial clothes.
Yeah.
This is not great.
It was awful. And I had a hard time picking one. I didn't know what size she was going to be. So,
because little Jeff was quite small, if I'm not mistaken.
He was just under 3 pounds.
Yeah.
He was tiny. So I knew that she probably would be small too.
Yeah.
So I picked out a couple dresses and just to see when she was born, which one fit better.
Right.
And then I would just take the other one back. But it was really awful picking out a dress. We had a sweet family friend make a onesie for her to wear in the hospital.
Oh, good.
Because, again, I knew she would be small, and it's really hard to find tiny clothes that are something that I would want. So I had her make this onesie, and it was super cute. It was pink with little yellow dots, which I loved because it had the little yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was beautiful.
Oh,
and handmade. I just think that's so special.
That is really sweet.
Yeah. Later in my pregnancy, towards the end, my mother-in-law was sweet enough to ask if she could like do a pamper shower for me,
Yeah.
which I thought was really sweet because normally you would get a baby shower.
You would normally get a baby shower.
Yeah, and get all the baby things. And obviously that's not appropriate for what's going to happen. So when she first asked me, I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want, I don't know. I don't know how to explain why I didn't want it. It just felt like I'm getting this other shower. This is not the shower I should be getting.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of hard for me, but I finally was like, this is something that people want to support me in, and I need to do it. And it turned out to be really great. All of my
It was.
Yeah. I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
I had close friends and family and those that I have met through infant loss, and they were so supportive, and I felt so loved. Just all the things that they gave us. Well, me. Some of it was for Jeff, but most of it was for me.
And Murphy too.
And Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. I really enjoyed that.
I just remember there's one thing that we got, or I think it was a group gift, but it was like really soft blankets for both you and for Murphy, kind of a little matching something for you guys.
Yes, the softest blankets. And
because sometimes you just need something that is cuddly when you're really sad.
And they had, once I told them the name, because they wanted to have her name embroidered on it.
Yeah.
And they didn't know the name at the time. So I gave them the name, and I told them it was Amber. And they were so sweet to go have it embroidered. And so it had not just Amber's name on it, but it had little Jeff's name on it.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I don't know, it's just like a comfy blanket, and it has their names on it. As well for Murphy, she has the exact same one with their names.
Yeah.
And so I think it's so special. It really was a great gift.
I remember like thinking this is a really sweet idea. And I can understand your trepidation for like, this doesn't feel right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel right, but it was a nice time to come together and be happy, but also kind of mourn together.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Just thought that was really, it was a nice afternoon together.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. So leading up to the birth, we needed to go to the cemetery and kind of
the cemetery.
Yeah. I know the cemetery all too well now.
Yeah.
When we had little Jeff, we did not buy our own plots. We had him buried in a little section of the cemetery that they call Babyland, and it's basically all babies. And so at that time when we had him, that was the right place for him to be, which I am grateful he was buried there because I got to meet so many people, other moms, and just connections there. But now with us having to bury another baby, we had to think like, are we going to bury her in Babyland, but she won't be necessarily by him?
Right.
It would, because other babies have been buried there. So it would be in a separate or like another side.
Yeah.
Not right next to each other, which that bothered me.
Yeah. That would bother me too.
I wanted them by each other.
Yeah.
We talked to the cemetery and they told us like we could buy our own plots and then have little Jeff moved from Babyland over to the new plots where Amber would be buried.
Right.
That felt right. We needed them to be by each other, and that also would be where we were. So it just seemed to be the perfect thing.
Except for the fact that, you're buying your own plots at the age of, the ripe old age of.
Yeah. How old was I? I was 28.
Yeah. Like it just is so, you're like, this is so dumb.
Yeah. I'm like, cool. You guys bought land. I bought some land too at the cemetery.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's wrong. Yeah.
It's so wrong.
Yeah. We ended up buying 4 plots so that we could have the standing headstone, like a bigger headstone.
Yeah.
And they told us, where little Jeff and Amber are is where I will be eventually when I pass away. So when I pass away, they will then take them out, put my casket in, and then they'd be on top of me.
Yeah.
Which I like the idea of them on top of me. I know that sounds so weird to people listening. I'm so sorry.
No, that's exactly what we did too. Because I was like, Brandon's going to be buried on top of me when the time comes. So
yeah, just real close, which I love. So yeah, that was that was rough figuring all that out. And then we talked to the funeral home, got all that stuff organized. I have a sweet neighbor, Heidi, and she is a florist. And I really wanted her to do the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went over and I talked with her about it. And I was like, just like, I don't know how it should look. I don't know how it should be. And she had the most amazing idea to have this floral arrangement that would go kind of around her casket.
Oh.
It almost looked like a rainbow.
Oh.
So when the casket is out, it kind of just goes around like a rainbow, but it's all like yellows and oranges and just like light, beautiful colors.
Mm-hmm.
And it seriously like was the most amazing thing.
That's so sweet.
And it was so perfect. Seriously.
That's awesome.
So we got all the funeral arrangements kind of set so that we didn't have to deal with most of it after the birth.
Were you guys going to have Jeff move the same day that from his spot in Babyland over to your...
So it was the day before the funeral, because the day of, they said it would just be too chaotic to move him on that same day.
Yeah.
So the day before, they moved him, and it was honestly I was really nervous about this. And we didn't invite anyone to be there. It was just Jeff and I to just watch the process.
Yeah.
And I was really nervous. I'm like, they're going to be, digging up the casket.
Yeah.
And moving him. Like it kind of was just so strange to me and freaky.
Yeah.
But when they moved him, once they pulled him out of the ground, it honestly was like, oh my gosh. It honestly was amazing feeling so close to him again. Like he's been down there for a while.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was so close to him again, like was really amazing. The fact that I could touch his casket was so cool because I had not touched it for a couple years.
Yeah.
That was really cool. It was not weird at all. It was actually really spiritual and awesome for Jeff and I to be there for it. And so they moved him over to the new plot, and Jeff had talked about how he really wanted to be the one to bury him. And he talked about wanting to do it last time. So he was able to do that this time. He buried him, and it was really cool. It was just him and I. No one was around us. It was really cool for him to do that.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And just feel him so close. Honestly, I could feel little Jeff so close when all that was happening. It was really cool.
Oh,
yeah.
So sweet.
It was really cool.
Okay. we got you off topic.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
It was a really cool experience. It's all good.
So you're making preparations for the funeral, and kind of along this line, I know that when we had talked about little Jeff, that there was always this possibility that he could have passed away before that he was born.
Right.
And same thing with Amber. Were you checking to see if I'm assuming you were just watching movements and such. Were you checking heartbeats or anything like that?
So yeah, I was watching her movement. I was super stressed about it. So I bought a at-home Doppler.
Oh, like machine. A fetal Doppler thing. Uh-huh.
So that like daily I could just check and make sure that she was still alive, because I was super stressed about that, about not knowing like if she did pass away.
Right.
And so, yeah, we did that daily, which was really cool to listen to her heart. Like every night we would listen. Yeah, it was great. She was very active, like super strong. Up until about a week before my delivery, her movement slowed way down.
Really?
Yeah. And it was super concerning to me. And I would check and she still had a heartbeat, but she wasn't moving very much.
Mm.
So I was getting really antsy to like have her, because I didn't want her to pass away before she was delivered.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went in for delivery. I was the first, I guess, appointment. I was up 5 a.m. So we were up at 4 a.m. Super early morning.
Yeah.
Not that we slept at all.
No.
I mean, that wasn't possible. Maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we went in, got all ready, started me on Pitocin. And with little Jeff, my delivery went super quickly. Like I went in and like 3 to 4 hours later, he was born after being started on Pitocin. So it was like super quick.
Yeah.
So I figured that's what it would be like again. It wasn't. It was a lot slower.
Mm-hmm.
The nurse put the monitors on my belly. This is just to monitor the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just normal protocol stuff.
Yeah.
Like just to listen for the baby. And at one point she came in and told us, like, you know, when you're contracting, her heart rate is going super low. Like, it's almost like it went down. I can't even remember. It was really low.
Yeah.
And she said, normally, this is when we would rush you in for like a C-section.
Right.
To deliver the baby. But in your circumstance, like, that's totally up to you. If you want the baby to be born alive, basically, because the pressure on this baby is extreme right now.
Right.
And we knew this would come up because it happened with little Jeff.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
They basically asked us if we wanted to still monitor and listen to the heartbeat or to just take
the monitor
off and just whatever happens, basically. Right. And for some reason, this time it was a lot harder to decide. I don't know why it was so hard this time, but it was heart-wrenching listening to her heart rate just like be normal and then just drop
out of,
and it's just so slow, and the monitor is loud, so we're listening to it, and it broke my heart every time I heard it. And so we had to decide to monitor or to not monitor, or to have a C-section or to not have a C-section.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me again what week we are?
So I'm at 36 weeks.
Okay, so you did decide 36 weeks again. Okay.
Yeah, we just felt like it felt right last time. It feels right again to go to 36 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
So we decided for them to take the monitors off, and whatever happens, happens. It's really hard to be in that situation, to decide whether to do a C-section, to have the baby be born alive, or to not. And it's still possible they're born alive or not. That honestly, it is a really hard decision to make.
Right.
Like physically, mentally, all of it.
Yeah.
But we had decided to just take the monitors off. That's what we had done with little Jeff. We took the monitors off. We didn't want to know what was happening, and we would just enjoy the time no matter what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So once the monitor was off, I felt so at peace because we weren't the stress of
kind
listening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just kind of like, okay, we've decided, so whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
During all of this, I was updating my doctor so that he could be there.
Mm-hmm.
He works at another hospital out of state, and he was planning to go there that night, but there was a big winter storm coming.
Oh, yeah.
Snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to leave early. He was going to be there, but he had to leave early. So I was really sad that he wasn't there for the birth. That was a little bit added stress.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you just kind of wait to see contraction wise where you're at. And I felt a bunch of pressure, and I told the nurse, I said, I think that she's like there.
Yeah. And did you have an epidural?
Yes.
Okay. Great. I was like, oh, I think I missed that part.
Yeah.
So you did have an epidural. Okay.
Yes. I told her, I said, I think she's like ready to come out. And she checked and she said, yes, she is. She said, don't push. I'm going to go get the doctor that was, I guess, on call because it wasn't going to be my doctor. And they seriously took forever. Really? I was sitting there like, no. I could feel her right there. And I could feel her moving. And I'm like, no, we are not doing, like, I am not waiting. And I told her that. I said, no, I'm going to push right now. Like, I can feel her.
Yeah.
And because I could feel that her movement was slowing.
Oh, okay.
Which
it's obvious.
was stressing me out because she was sitting down there that whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to push her out like right now.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm not waiting for the doctor. Like it's not happening. So the doctor wasn't there and the nurses just kind of got ready. And I said, it's time. And it took 2 pushes and she came out and she didn't cry. She didn't move. There was, there was nothing. They laid her on my chest and I looked at the nurse and I said, is she alive? And she said, it doesn't look like she is. But she grabbed her,
A stethoscope.
yeah, I'm like, what the heck is the word? To check her for a heartbeat. And there was a heartbeat. She was alive. She had fought so hard. I feel like I could tell that she had struggled the last week. Like she wasn't moving much, but I know she held on just to be born alive. So I was super happy to find out that she was alive. Even though, she wasn't really moving. I couldn't hear breaths. It was, yeah, I was really happy to find out that she was alive. So then everyone kind of stepped back. Well, Jeff cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
And then everyone kind of stepped back and we just had our time to just cry and cry and cry forever.
Yeah.
The one thing I remember, like the first thing that stood out to me was her thick, dark, like black hair.
Oh.
It was just so beautiful. And it reminded me so much of Murphy.
Oh,
Because
really?
Murphy had jet black hair when she was born also. So that even killed me more.
Yeah. You're like, this is little Murph.
Yeah. It just reminded me so much of Murphy. And so it was brutal. So we then had my parents bring Murphy in so that she could see her, because we wanted Jeff to give her a blessing while she was alive. So while Murphy was in there, Jeff gave her a blessing. And we just all kind of felt at peace, like listening to it. It was great. Murphy hung out with us for a while. And
was she excited?
Was obsessed with her.
Oh.
Just like, I love her. She's so cute. And giving her kisses and hugs. It was, yeah, you could tell how much she loved her and what a good big sister she is. Oh, so dumb.
It's so dumb.
All of it is just like, it's not fair. So the nurse over, every once in a while would come in and just kind of check if she still had a heartbeat. And there was no way for Jeff and I to know. We could not tell like whether she was alive or not. It was just, which was kind of hard. I'm like, I don't know, but let's just, say all the things we want to say to her. I mean, whether she was alive or not, I know she could hear them,
Yeah.
But she ended up living for 1 hour. So a lot shorter than little Jeff. But
Yeah.
I'm grateful that we had that short time with her and that Murphy got to see her and spend that time with her alive.
Yeah.
After she had passed away, we kind of cleaned her up and put her in her cute outfit, and Murphy helped us with all of that. She loved it. She got her blanket out. She was super excited about all of that. And we had a photographer there to take all these precious pictures of her.
Yeah.
And with Murphy holding her and all the family. And those pictures are amazing, and I will hold them in my heart forever. They were so great. While we had her, there was a lot of things we did. We read books to her. We sang songs. Murphy held her a lot. Just like did not want to give her back to us. She just wanted to hold her forever, which was super sweet. We had brought this, I don't even know what it's called. It's those where you can make your own molds.
Oh, yeah.
They're like you mix them up,
Mm-hmm.
you put your hand in, and then you put the other mixture in and it hardens.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had brought that. I'm like, I don't know if we're allowed to do this in here, but let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to use it.
You might as well.
And I'm like, I don't know how to do it. I don't think it's going to turn out, but let's do it. I had nothing. I had no bin to like mix it in. So we just used a hospital cup. I like their big water mug.
The water
things.
mug?
Yeah. So we mixed it up. We poured it in this big mug. And I really wanted Murphy to be a part of it. So I had Murphy hold Amber's hand. And they both, we just kind of held them and they both stuck their hand in the mug.
Into the mug.
And you have to hold still for like a minute.
Uh-huh.
And so Murphy, she did really good. I could tell she was like wanting to rip her hand out of there, but she did really good. And they pulled their hand out and I'm like, I don't think this is going to turn out. That was just, it doesn't look like anything. I don't know. And then we put the second mixture in and we're like, okay, set it aside. I don't think it's going to turn out. Whatever. After it had dried and we opened it up, oh my gosh. Amazing.
Really?
Yes. I recommend that to anyone
Okay.
that is going through this. Like, you can see every little wrinkle on her hand. Like, it's amazing.
Oh, that's so great.
So it's just something tangible that's like, I can see the size of her hand. It's beautiful.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then having Murphy's with it.
Murphy's
I
hand
just was
holding
like,
it.
that is so sweet.
So it turned out really cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How big was Amber? How much did she weigh and how long was she?
She was just under 4 pounds. So she was almost exactly a pound heavier than little Jeff, which was surprising.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I delivered, same week and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But she was
bigger.
She was a pound heavier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was 16 inches. I'm like, I know it. I'm going to say it. But I'm like, if I say it wrong. Yeah. She was 16 inches.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Did you think that she looked like Murphy or little Jeff even?
I felt like she looked a lot like Murphy. There were certain things that were very unique to just her. Like there were parts that didn't look anything like little Jeff or like Murphy. She just had her own little look.
Oh.
It was, she was very unique, but a lot of ways looked like Murphy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, she's the cutest little thing. I do miss her.
Yeah.
Miss her face. Yeah.
Did you guys end up, after she passed away and you guys were cleaning up, and did you guys end up keeping her for a while in the room? And I know that it's still in the middle of the pandemic. And so it kind of sounds like that you were able to have some visitors that were generally not allowed during this time,
That's
which is
true.
Awesome.
Yes.
That they were able to come in. Were any other people able to come in? It sounds like your mom and Murph were able to go there.
Yeah. I, as the patient, was allowed 2 visitors, and Amber, because it was considered end of life, was allowed 6 visitors.
Oh, that's great.
So, I mean, they couldn't all be there at the same time.
Right.
But it was awesome to have, Amber's grandparents come in and see her and hold her, because I was really stressed about that, not them not being able to come in. But yeah, it was great for them to be able to hold her and see her.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I can't remember exactly how, because I was like, I swear I saw a few pictures of you and more of your family members.
Right.
So that makes more sense then. So.
Yeah, I was really grateful with the whole pandemic thing that was able to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want to be alone during this. Like, you just don't want to.
Not at all. No. And we kept her for a full 24 hours.
Oh, good.
They have the cuddle cot things that kind of just keeps their body cooler so that it kind of preserves them, know. But theirs was broken. It just did not work.
Oh.
So we ended up grabbing Jeff's knee. Have you guys seen those? You wrap them around your knee. It keeps your knee cold if you have knee injury or something.
Yeah.
And his mom went and grabbed it and brought it. And it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. It's just basically a cooling pad.
Yeah. And it worked great.
That's
So
that was very
unfortunately, if
thoughtful.
anyone needs to do that, ask if anyone has a knee cooler.
brace thing.
Yeah, that sounds so weird. But it worked out.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys, so you kept her for 24 hours. Were you feeling okay? You had just given birth. Just want to point that out.
Yeah. I surprisingly was okay. It was a really easy birth. I feel like physically I was doing okay. Mentally, I mean, my nerves had built up so high going into delivery that they had kind of come down a little bit, and I was just able to enjoy being around her and holding her and just kind of soaking in the whole time.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine you were probably just a wreck.
Oh, yeah.
Going up into it.
Yeah, my nerves were so high. And then, again, it felt like deja vu.
Yeah.
Because it basically was.
What time of the day was she born?
1 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was Jeff born? Little Jeff born?
He was born in...
probably the morning, right?
It was the morning.
Because I think...
I should know these times.
No, you're totally
really
fine.
bad.
No, it's just...
memory. So honestly, my memory with things is like... I do put up a wall. And so...
it's trauma.
My trauma does make me forget a lot of stuff.
So the reason why I ask is because somebody had mentioned, like, I wanted... when they were having their baby after their loss, they had tried to arrange it so that the time that they were born was at a different time of the day, so that so I was just wondering if it was
like have their own time of day.
Yeah, exactly. So just was wondering if Jeff was Jeff versus Amber when they were born. So
yeah,
okay. No,
I'm like my memory, you guys.
No, it really
so bad.
It's like PTSD. It
really is.
It's you just have to your brain is trying to preserve stuff.
Function. Here.
Yeah, exactly. On a day-to-day basis. When you guys were ready to give, this particular hospital has a 24-hour kind of time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So did you just give Amber to them, and how did that go?
Yeah, we had told them, that we were ready, and with little Jeff, I had kept his clothing with me.
Oh, okay.
And sent him just wrapped in a blanket.
Yeah.
And that did not sit well with me.
Mm.
I did not like the fact that he wasn't dressed. I did not like that. So this time I told him, I said, I am sending her in her clothes and with this blanket. And I had talked to the mortuary and they said it would be totally fine. They would just, keep it all. So I sent her in her clothes, the little onesie, and with a blanket. And I felt so much better about that. It sounds silly, but I just wanted her to feel like comfortable. Even
and cozy.
Though
yeah.
Her spirit's not there. It's just her body. I just like, as a mom, you just want them to be comfy. And so, I made sure she was sent in that.
Yeah.
But like last time, it's awful. It's awful to hand them off to them because then they're not with you.
Yeah.
And you spent all that time with them.
Yep. And then you leave the hospital without them.
And
it's
then
like
you leave the hospital without them.
It's the worst.
And you pack up things. Literally things. It's not your baby. They're things.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's really hard.
Yeah. Did you guys end up staying a little longer, or after you sent Amber?
No, we were ready to get out of there.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, well, if she's gone, we're out of here. There's no reason to be here. So we packed up pretty quickly.
Did you?
And got out of there.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as possible.
It's like,
here.
Yeah, it's like just a reminder
if she's not there.
Yeah.
Why am I here? Get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you just went home.
Went home, and people were very generous and brought us food and visited us. And if I remember right, honestly, my brain, it's a real thing. When you go through trauma, you forget a lot of things. Even like day-to-day basis.
Like you said, the same thing happened.
Yeah. And I did want to mention, it was super interesting when we were in the hospital, when I was holding Amber and Murphy was sitting next to me, because it was basically like deja vu. I, on accident, said, do you want to hold him? Thinking it was, not that thinking it was little Jeff. It was just
That was
it was just so similar.
yeah.
And I felt like we had just gone through that with him. So that I will never forget the fact that I called her him, just because it was so, it's just like over and over. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah. You lost 2 babies the same way.
And it's hard because with little Jeff, I felt like I was still in the process of mourning him when we did find out the news about Amber. And then I'm mourning her. So it's really hard for me to figure out what I'm mourning or who I'm mourning.
Right.
It's really hard to figure out what's even going on in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And a lot of love for those 2 babies. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot for a person to process.
A lot.
For you guys to process. Like,
Yeah.
We've just watched it from the outside and just watching horrified. Like,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. With little Jeff, I feel like I was very sad with my situation. I was sad of what was happening. I didn't really feel anger then. For some reason, I'm just sad. But this time around, I could not be more mad. Just
Yeah.
I have so much anger, and I still do. I think it's settled down a little bit, but yeah, I have a lot of anger, and I think that's normal.
Rightly so.
It's So I'm working through that, but yeah,
We all are.
taking it out on the gym. All my anger.
That's a good route.
Yeah.
So Amber was born November 15th.
Yes. So, yep, coming up right on a year.
Yeah. And we live in Utah and it is cold.
Mm-hmm.
When was the funeral going to be?
So the funeral was only like 3 days after she was born. I wanted it to be kind of quick because we didn't end up embalming her. I kind of wanted it to be quick just so to preserve her body and everything. It was actually a beautiful day. It was sunny. I was worried that we were going to be in rain or snow because November, you just never know.
Yep.
But it was a beautiful day. We went to the mortuary and got her dressed. Jeff, I, and Murphy. It's interesting because in the hospital, she was wanting to hold her, love on her. When we were in the mortuary and had dressed her, she did not want anything to do with her. She didn't want to hold her. It was super strange, and it really hurt my heart. I didn't know what she was like. She's so little.
Yeah.
Like, what's going through her mind on this situation of death? And so I didn't want to push it on her. Like, you need to hold her. Like, but it did hurt my heart for both her and me, seeing her the way she was and how she obviously was struggling.
Yeah.
So that was really hard during that. The viewing was great. Like I said, we had the beautiful flowers that kind of arched around her. We kept it really small with COVID stuff. There was just an announcement like 2 days before saying do not gather a certain amount of people.
Right.
And so I was really stressed about that. So we kept it really small. But it went great. The family prayer was amazing. I feel like everything went as smoothly as it could during the viewing. And the funeral, or the graveside, we just had Jeff speak, our bishop speak. And honestly, the words that Jeff said were like so perfect. He knows I don't like to speak in front of people, and I didn't speak at little Jeff's funeral, and I just know if I were to get up there, I would just be a mess. So I'm really grateful for Jeff and that he was able to speak, and he said all the right words. It was really good. When we had gotten to the cemetery, my friend Heidi, who had done the flowers, she, on little Jeff's grave had put like blue flowers and like there was blue balloons just for him. And there was something really special about the fact that he was there kind of waiting, like ready to be there with Amber. So I felt like that was really cool that he was there right before her. Just kind of like, I'm here for you kind of thing. And literally the only silver lining to having two is that they have each other in heaven.
Yeah.
It's literally the only silver lining.
Yeah.
I see nothing else.
No.
But we released balloons. Murphy and I whispered a little something into the balloons as we let them go. Just a little like note to her basically. Oh. Yeah, it was a really good day. It was sunny. It felt very peaceful. Yeah.
It was a beautiful day. This is one thing that I remember, and I really super love this, that you and Murphy, and I think your mom, and I think a lot of the women in your family were wearing these beautiful yellow dresses.
Yes.
It was so pretty. It was perfect. It was so pretty. You guys looked so beautiful.
That was super important to me to have us all in yellow, like celebrating her.
Mm-hmm.
I had found a yellow dress I fell in love with, and they had, a mommy size and a mini size. So I got me one, I got Murphy one, and I contacted the owner and I said, do you have any extra fabric? Like, I want some extra fabric to make a bow and a tie out of. And she said, no, we don't have, like, it's made somewhere else, but I'm going to just send you a dress. And so she sent me just like a dress, and I had my mother-in-law cut up the dress. Had her make a little head bow for Amber and an actual tie for Jeff.
Awesome.
So I thought it was really cool that we were all matching.
Yeah.
We all had the same yellow fabric for Amber.
It was beautiful.
It was, I really loved that. We could all match because it honestly killed me that, it's another girl. I love that I can match with Murphy. And so the fact that she kind of was included in that for that time.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was beautiful. It was like, that's one thing I just remember. It was just so sunny and like yellow, like everything
and yellow
was,
and just, I know. And yellow makes you happy.
Yeah, it does. So after the funeral, I think I'm a little privy to this because Lee and I think we gave you a ride after the funeral, but after everybody had left, they were heading up to, I think, your mom's house for a little get together. And the groundskeeper, I guess, brought over the little truck and...
Yep, he brought over the little truck full of dirt because Jeff had asked again, I would like to do the burial. So he brought over the truck and Jeff was able to bury Amber as well right next to little Jeff. And I really loved watching him do that. I could tell that he really was like, this is something I can like do for them because there's nothing you can do for them.
Nope.
And so the fact that he's like, this is something I could do, I could see it, how much it meant to him. But it was also hard to watch him do one scoop at a time, your hand burying. But it was really special, and I'm really glad that he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just us.
Yeah, it was just you guys.
It was just him and I. Everyone was gone. I honestly forgot about the luncheon. And then I got a call and my mom's like, are you guys coming? And I'm like, oh my gosh, just start without us. I totally just spaced it. Yeah.
I don't know. This is a family time together. And it was really tender.
Yeah. It was really great.
I am a little curious. Obviously, this having Amber and then Jeff, now you have a bunch of questions.
Yes.
Going forth.
Yes.
Do you guys have any thoughts on?
So I forgot to mention this. When I was pregnant with Amber, we talked, obviously, this is probably a genetic thing if it's happened twice.
Right.
So we talked with the genetic counselor, and she found the U goes through this company that does all the testing for things, and they gave us the option of like a couple different testing, like ranges almost. And they said to find the kidney stuff, we would have to do the maximum, like where they test basically everything.
So the max amount of genetic, what is it called? Like things that they
The
would
panel,
need. Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
like the most extensive panel.
Okay.
So we said, yes, let's do the most extensive panel. Let's see if we can find anything. They told us, we need Amber's blood to do the test. We were doing all this before I had Amber. And so I was very much trying to prepare as much as I could. And I was the one basically preparing everything. My genetic counselor, again, I'm not going to say who it was, but she wasn't good.
Yeah, she was not helpful.
She was not helpful in the way I needed her to be. I was asking all the questions. I was doing all the work.
Yeah.
So in my head, I run through every scenario on what could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew they needed blood, and I knew it was shipped to another state.
Okay.
So when I was in the hospital, I said, I need like 5 vials of blood. Because if I'm going to send some and for some reason something happens to that package, I need more blood that's saved here that I can then send.
Right.
So I'm just like an over preparer. I'm like, okay, if something goes wrong, I need to make sure there's a backup. And because I can't get that blood again.
Nope.
It's not going to happen. So I had to like really prepare for that.
And we're talking like blood. It's not cord blood. Could it be cord blood?
They did take it out of the cord.
Okay.
Yes. So not from Amber.
Okay. Because I was like, oh my gosh, that is...
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was one thing that went through my mind. I'm like, you're going to poke her and all this stuff. And I don't like that.
No.
They said, no, we can take it from the cord. So they took it from the cord before it was cut.
Oh, okay.
So while it was still kind of in there.
Yes.
So they pulled all the blood out of the cord.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I was like, get as many as you can. Like
we got to cover our bases.
If it gets lost in the mail or it takes too long and then the blood is bad or something. So, we did that. They drew my blood. They drew Jeff's blood. And we had that all sent to the lab in another state.
Okay.
And so that took a while to get those results back. And they finally got the results back. And they basically told us there is a gene that they found in Amber's panel that is off, I guess. And this gene is in a section where they have seen kidney issues. So.
But it's not maybe the exact, like, are there ones that they have identified that are definitively kidney issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like if you're looking at a book, and there's 100 letters. Her letter is unknown, but there's other letters in those 100 letters that are known to have kidney issues. So they basically told us like it could be the issue or it's just nothing. And I'm like, great, thank you for that. That really is helpful.
Yeah, definitely feels something not definitive about this at all.
I know. And so they basically said there's no one else that's ever had this gene that they've tested. So it's possible there's other bilateral renal agenesis babies that have had that gene, but they were never tested.
Right.
Because like with little Jeff, we didn't think we needed to test him. So a lot of times I think stuff is missed because there was no genetic testing done.
Right.
So they're basically told us we can't do anything with this. We don't know 100%.
And that was on Amber's blood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you guys also got tested as well.
Yeah. So that same gene that she has, I also have.
Oh, okay.
And my mom has. So they were able to test everyone that was related to Amber for that specific gene to see if anyone had it. So yeah, my mom had it, I have it, and Amber has it. But my mom and I are totally fine.
Completely fine.
And so there's no way they can't say like, they said if it is the gene, some genes just present one way or they don't present at all.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's like possible we have that same thing. It just didn't present in us.
Yes. Okay.
Like it did in her. But like I said, they can't tell us, yes, that's the gene. Because if we did know the specific gene, we could then go forward with like different testing for when we did want to get pregnant again. So without them knowing 100%, they've basically just told us anytime we get pregnant, it's a 50% chance. So, yeah, it's awful.
Did you get Murphy tested?
Yes. So we tested her for that gene too, and she does not have it.
She does not have
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know.
Oh man, I just feel like that is like, obviously you want your family to, you probably want your family to grow. And that is something that you're going to,
Yeah.
the odds are not like,
Right. 50%. That's very high.
yeah.
Like to gamble with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so we're just at this point where we're unsure where to go from here.
Yeah.
They said it's possible more data comes out and they can retest the blood and like see if they can find some more things in the future. But there's no way of knowing when that would happen or if it were to happen. So I've kind of mourned the fact that I may never get pregnant again.
Yeah.
I may never carry a baby again. And so I've mourned that a lot. That's hard to think about.
Yeah, that's another loss right there.
Yeah. So I'm mourning 2 babies and the fact that I may never be pregnant again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm so sorry.
thank you. It's really rough.
Yeah.
So, yep. At this point, we don't know where we're going, but we'll just see what the future holds.
Will you tell me one last thing that you want to tell us about Amber, or anything you want to remember about her birth or her life or her personality?
Yeah, like I had said before, in my mind, I think that she would have been like kind of a wild child, which I really like to think about that and how she would have just ruled the world, basically.
Which is awesome.
Because with Murphy moved a decent amount. I would say she was in the middle. Little Jeff, in my mind, I see him as kind of a calm, like peacemaker. And then Amber just being like this spitfire, crazy child. But I like to think about that and kind of how it would have been and how she was. But yeah, I think she would have done some awesome things in this world.
Yeah.
But she's probably doing some even more awesome things up in heaven. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Bree. That was beautiful.
Thank you for having me.